Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Naruto review as part of my Airspeed Reads Naruto series. This one is going to be for volume 25 of the manga, which is called Brothers. And yeah, that means we start off a new 3-in-1 edition. It's going to be the last 3-in-1 edition I use as part of this series. The rest of the manga I have in single volume form. But yeah, last 3-in-1, and it's obviously the last one for Naruto Part 1 before the time skip. So really nice cover this time out. A lot of the times with these 3-in-1 editions, the cover is just a random image of Naruto. Usually a very nice image, but just, him doing something. It's just like normal Naruto, nothing fancy going on. There's, I think, one or two of them are more notable. There's the one with, I think, like Gamabunta on the front. And stuff like that. One of them I think involves Sasuke a little bit more. But this one is actually quite nice because the front here obviously has Naruto, kind of Nine Tails mode that he has right now, and then on the back, admittedly it kind of spoils because this is one of the stuff from towards the end of the last volume, Sasuke's second stage curse mark form. But it's nice to have it there. The two main characters who are fighting in this entire 3-in-1 edition. They're kind of key forms for their fight. It's just a very more action-packed cover for sure. But yeah, our volume 25 3-in-1 cover page is this really nice image here. Just I like the kind of back and forth nature of Sasuke, Itachi, and then Naruto in the middle. It definitely represents what goes on in volume 25, because Naruto's not really in it all that much because most of it is flashback, really good flashback as well, which I'll actually point out here. So here's just a look at the kind of pages of the book, and you can see the kind of black kind of bar across here, and that's obviously because that is, all those pages are the flashback. Everyone knows in manga that usually the pages that are black bordered are the ones that are flashbacks. And so just that many pages being together really highlights that there's like 4 or 5 full chapters just of flashback, which is really cool to get, and definitely very interesting timing to get this flashback. But yeah, let's get into talking about this. I think this is another really good volume of Naruto. What I like about it is that I suppose they take their time getting to the Naruto Sasuke fight and actually starting it off. I like that this one more adds to, I suppose, why Sasuke is fighting, just once again giving us the reasons as to why Naruto is so eager to get Sasuke back, and stuff like that, and just giving you the reason why they're fighting, why this fight means so much, and then adding in the backstory of like what happened with Itachi, the kind of more or less the full details, at least as far as Sasuke is aware, like his perspective on the whole incident that happened in his past, and what basically he is driven by at this point in time, and what he wants to get out of this fight and going forward. It really adds a little bit of extra context to what's going on with Sasuke to really make this moment big, and as effectively the I think the key moment in like the entire series. Sasuke deciding to leave the Leaf Village, and what happens in this fight, and the kind of end result of this fight, being like the key moment, because it basically defines kind of what happens after this, and that in many ways the key character driven plot is just getting Sasuke back. And this volume kind of is one that explains a lot of that, but obviously more to come in 26 and 27, which I'll get to. But this one I'm going to do a little bit differently, just because so much of this is flashback. I'm just going to cover the present day stuff, so we get a little bit before the flashback and a little bit afterwards, basically resulting in the fight just about to start. The first clash of Chidori and Rasengan is basically where we end the volume. But before that, it's basically just Naruto and Sasuke have arrived at the Valley of the End. They're on top of the statues of course, as we later find out, previous reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. And it's just these, it fits in really nicely when you look at it in that way. Go back to the early stuff and apply the stuff that we know later. Just this idea of, Sasuke on top of the Madara statue, him being the current reincarnation of Indra, and then Naruto on top of the Hashirama Senju statue, and him being the current reincarnation of Ashura. It just fits really nicely thematically that it's kind of come down to this once again. and this kind of temptation of one of the characters versus one of them trying to kind of guide the other back onto the right side. And what we get early on is just Naruto. He's been concerned about, he's happy to see Sasuke again, that he's not in the coffin thing anymore, and he's on his own basically. He knows that it's just him and Sasuke, and he has at the very least a chance to bring him back now. But early on we get basically Sasuke's first words in a long time, because obviously in the last volume he basically didn't look at Naruto and didn't say anything and just kind of ran off. And so the first time Sasuke speaks to Naruto in so long, he basically just says, "Hey, screw up." And obviously the key visual there is the curse mark, very noticeable on the front of Sasuke's face, and it affecting his eye as well. And Naruto really seeing this in full form kind of in many ways for the first time, and seeing this kind of taint of darkness visually on Sasuke. And he really gets the sense of this is serious. This is not just some kind of whim type thing that he's just randomly decided to go off. That a lot of stuff with Sasuke has been leading towards this, and he's really going to have to try hard to convince Sasuke to come back. And throughout all this, you have Naruto, or a lot of our panels are just Naruto staring at Sasuke, while remembering the promise he made to Sakura to bring him back for her. Obviously bring him back for himself, everyone else in the Leaf Village, the mission, and in many ways for Naruto to kind of, in his mind, help Sasuke make the right decision and not make the wrong decision. And we just basically get Sasuke, explain, at least as far as this point in time, talk about he has his own path, he has no obligation to you or anyone. He says, I want to make this clear, I'm done playing around with the Konohagakure crowd, go home. And from there it's just an interesting one of just Naruto saying, does Konoha mean anything to you? And this idea of just how much did basically the series up to this point in time actually mean to Sasuke, because we've seen him be committed to the team. He's put himself on the line to save Sakura, to save Naruto at certain times. He's very much been committed to that. What has suddenly changed to the point where he's just no, none of that means anything anymore. I have to go to Orochimaru. And it's just interesting to see his perspective on this, where all he cares about is power, in that he says to Naruto, did playing around with my so-called comrades make me any stronger? I'm going to Orochimaru. And obviously Naruto can't understand this, because from his perspective, Orochimaru's already tried to kill all of them. He tried to destroy the Leaf Village. He killed the third Hokage. Why would you ever want to go to this person, even to get power from them? Why would you accept that? And Naruto even points out he only wants you for a host body. You might not be able to come back. You're going to be killed. And Sasuke, I think this is one of the more telling points in this whole exchange. As long as I achieve my goal, that's enough. So basically, he doesn't care if after he achieves his goal and gets enough power to defeat Itachi, his body is taken by Orochimaru. Which really tells you that this is all he's lived for all of this time. That as much as he's attempted to gain power in a more natural way, just learning like everyone else and becoming part of the team, being a team player, gaining extra comrades and so on, when it came down to it and he realized that he needed to, in this kind of way forcefully boost his power, that he had to leave, and that's all that drives him. He doesn't care about basically what happens to him after this point, only revenge. And in that sense, it's one of the best it's one of the more well done written characters in terms of someone driven by revenge, because you obviously, but this is prior to the flashback properly occurring. We have an idea about what it's about, but we don't know the full extent. And so having a little bit before the fight and having a little bit after the fight, it's really interesting, because you then have context for what Sasuke says later on. And just Naruto convinced, he's going to forcefully take Sasuke back if he needs to. And we start the fight, Naruto gets a punch in, and then immediately we see the extent of the curse mark and how it's affecting Sasuke, and that Sasuke can just completely one-handed lift Naruto up, throw him around the place. He's so much more powerful. and then he's basically talking about, you know, like, what is this power surging inside me? So much power so quickly. Once the curse mark is unsealed, how powerful will I be? And, you know, you have Naruto kind of, you know, sinking to the bottom of the water, attempts to come back out, and we go into the flashback with this idea of Sasuke saying, I've been wide awake, I've been wide awake to who I am for a while, even while I was trying to be like all of you, dreaming about a future that isn't going to come. That's why I left. That's why I seek power. My dream isn't in the future. It's rooted only in the past. My dream. And so that's how we actually transition into the flashback. But as I said, I'll cover the flashback afterwards. So we have the flashback, and the context that we effectively get from that is that the reason Sasuke has basically waited here at this point to fight Naruto is that for him, defeating Naruto, killing Naruto, is the way to gain extra power. Itachi told him, kill your best friend and you will gain the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. And that is the only way you will be able to basically, in any way, be on my level. You know, have the same eyes as I do. And so this is what, you know, going into the fight, Sasuke's goal is to accomplish. It's not just to prove that he is better than Naruto and beat him in combat and, you know, leave him there. It's to actually kill Naruto to gain this extra power, and if he is able to beat Naruto and gain that power, he will be on the level to actually take out Itachi. So it gives you that context, but it also gives you a little bit more context as to, like, Sasuke's character. Like, for someone so skilled, as kind of Jiraiya and Kakashi pointed out in a volume not that long ago, he for someone so skilled, he has actually a pretty big inferiority complex. And we get that comes from basically the interactions with Itachi that he had when he was younger, and I suppose the impact that Itachi had on his relationship with his father, and that he never felt he was good enough for his father because Itachi kind of took a lot of that limelight away from him. That Sasuke objectively is a genius shinobi, but he is not as, you know, prodigal, I suppose, as Itachi is. And so he kind of fades into the shadows even up against Itachi. So really cool to get that. And then we come out and, you know, it's just this idea that Naruto is just accepting that it's just this last moment of him accepting, you know, like, okay, so this fight is for real. It's really to the point of being to the death. You know, last chance of him going, do I really not mean anything to you at all? And Sasuke, I suppose, for the first time is kind of more honest with Naruto, and not just the kind of, you know, arrogant kind of bravado he's kind of putting off. And he says no, it's not insignificant to me. You're my closest friend. And then he, without directly saying why, he just makes it clear to Naruto that it's because you are my closest friend. That is why I have to kill you, and that is why I am, you know, challenging you here to this fight. And it just ends with, you know, this idea of them going, the thing that's going to happen, you know, like the scene that's going to repeat itself, Chidori versus Rasengan. They have their first major clash. Like, this is the bit we didn't get to see in their last little fight up on the rooftop. This is what Kakashi stopped from happening, and it clashes right here as the fight begins. So, you know, nothing, I suppose, overly, like, dramatic in the sense of, like, what they've said to each other. It's just been, like, Sasuke confirming to Naruto so far just that you can't convince me with just your words to return. I am set on killing you, gaining power, going to Orochimaru, and Naruto just has it set in his mind here that he knows for sure he can't convince him. So Naruto will have to defeat Sasuke and basically drag him back to the village forcefully. So it's this fight of who will win. Will Naruto take out Sasuke and bring him back? Or will Sasuke defeat Naruto, kill him, and gain the new power, or what? And obviously it's very interesting what actually happens. But let's get into the flashback. Let's actually get into this. It's a good few chapters. It is the majority of this volume, the stuff that happens in the flashback, and it covers a lot of stuff. It's, as I said, it's mainly stuff from Sasuke's perspective, in that he is basically in all of the scenes that we see here. Um, so obviously this is further expanded upon when we get, Itachi's full perspective on things, and it's even been further expanded on again in the more recent anime episodes, which cover the Itachi novels, which give even more context again to everything that's happening. But right now, the way they present Itachi in this flashback is it's very interesting because it's clear that he has a lot of pressure on him and that he is considered the next hope for the Uchiha clan. That all of them tend to go into the Uchiha police force, which is the basically, people who take out criminals within the Leaf Village. Um, but he has been seen as, skilled enough that they're allowing him into the Anbu Black Ops. And what's happened here is that he's so skilled that his father, Fugaku, I think it is, has actually asked him basically to spy for the Uchiha clan on the inner workings of the Leaf Village, um, and basically report that back to them, which presents an interesting idea of the Uchiha clan at this point in time. Obviously, Itachi and Sasuke's father is the leader. We do get that, and just okay, he's part of the police force, but why is he basically effectively using his son as a spy against the village that he's trying to protect? It definitely, you have some like basically kind of big, like moments where you're just like, you know, you know, warning signs flashing for you with the Uchiha clan here, and the way Itachi talks at various points in this volume about them, um, is very interesting. Um, Let me see, can I find the page? Yeah, just prior to the moment when Itachi gets effectively into a fight with other members of the Uchiha clan who accuse him of killing Shisui Uchiha, he says to Sasuke, "It's tough being the best. Having power means being isolated, and it leads to arrogance. No matter how high people's hopes were for you." And he says, "But it's just the two of us. I'll always be there like a wall you need to climb over. Even if it means being hated, that's what big brothers are for." And then the interruption happened. But the thing he says about power there, power being isolated, leads to arrogance, that very much, I think, is his perspective on the Uchiha clan at this point in time, which definitely for me informs like his ideals and why he basically sides the way he does in this general conflict within the Leaf Village. I'm not going to spoil it in case you guys don't know the full extent. I want to as well as that, I want to save my thoughts on the actual reveal about what ultimately Itachi was all about until when it actually happens, much further down the line. But right now, it's just like, wow, that is actually a really good hint, and that applies completely directly to the Uchiha clan, in that them spying on the rest of the Leaf Village kind of shows a level of like, they're planning something. They're already somewhat isolated from the rest of the people, and they're kind of trying to do something here. They're having all these clan meetings and planning things, and very clearly from the suicide note that Shisui leaves behind, he doesn't agree with the direction that the clan is taking, and you can tell that Itachi also doesn't agree, and he begins to separate himself from his father. And it seems like initially when you first read this, it seems like he is falling victim to the thing he's talking about. Like Itachi's actually the one falling victim to his arrogance and stuff like that. That's the way he kind of presents himself, or at least is presented in these moments here, without the full story. From, I suppose, Sasuke's perspective, that's the way he kind of sees his brother having been lost to power, lost to arrogance, isolating himself from everyone. And yeah, just on the Sasuke side of things, it does set up, as I said before, this whole idea of this is kind of where his inferiority complex comes from, in that he doesn't get a lot of attention from his father because Itachi is seen as the most important young member of the Uchiha clan. Um, Itachi is the one who has all of these records about, like, he was the first to do this, the quickest person to graduate, to do this, the youngest member of the Anbu. All of this stuff is all about Itachi. And Sasuke, just to prove himself to his father, to get some level of respect from his father, to the point where he isn't just praised for being good, he's actually praised for individually doing something that is not just do this to beat your brother situation. He just wants, his father to say, "That's my boy," without involving Itachi in the sentence. And he gets that later on, but obviously he feels it's more because Itachi, there's sort of a rift grown between Itachi and his father, and Sasuke initially feels like he's just the kind of Sasuke feels like he's just been kind of substituted in as like, okay, Itachi's lost to us. Let's focus on you now, Sasuke. And you do get that nice moment with Sasuke and his mother, where she kind of tells him, keep this a secret. But when me and your father are alone, you're the only one he talks about. He doesn't really talk about Itachi, but he talks about you a lot, and that sparks the relationship. And obviously, he's getting closer to his father, and he's really starting to see a bond there. He proves his father wrong a little bit about him when he practices super hard and gets the fire style jutsu perfect. And then, from Sasuke's perspective, Sasuke's life is getting better, and then Itachi kind of shatters that by what he does to the clan. That just as things were getting better with his father, it was ruined. His father and mother killed, and life taken on a completely different track. And we do get a better insight into, I suppose, what happens here towards the end, and we get this idea that we've had a little bit of this already, just this general idea of Itachi telling Sasuke that, what is it? What we knew about this before was that he told Sasuke that the reason he killed the clan was to basically test his abilities, to prove to himself that he was strong enough to take out a lot of people. And then here, what we get is that he goes kind of beyond that and basically says, you're not worth killing. I have hope for you because I think you, like me, could unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan, and you will be the only one in any way capable of standing up to me. So go and don't come back to me until you have the same eyes as I do, and then you will kind of challenge me, and I hope you surpass me. And he just says that, to get the Mangekyo Sharingan, you have to kill your closest friend. And it's just very interesting what happens here. He says, so, baby brother, you're pathetic. If you want to kill me, settle for hating me. Hate me and live like the coward you are, clinging to life without honor, and someday, when you have the same eyes as I, you will find me again. And so, there is the moment. But I should also add, after he has basically tortured Sasuke by doing the infinite Tsukiyomi on him over not the infinite, just the normal Tsukiyomi. So he basically makes him experience the death of his parents over and over again and kind of tortures him like that. And then says to him, come after me. And so you get this idea that just Itachi completely broke Sasuke kind of at this point in time. Sent him down this path, all for, as far as we're aware, at least right now from Itachi's point of view, just to test his powers against someone who's potentially equally as strong. We know that this isn't the full story. We definitely get that this is absolutely not the full story. Just because, if that's all he cares about, why is he part of the Akatsuki, and why is he doing what he's doing as part of that organization? So there's definitely I think there's implication that there's more to it than that. And we're just not being told the full story, but it definitely is still a quite villainous way of presenting Itachi. But there are certain points towards the middle of this flashback where you're definitely okay, Itachi's kind of pointing out some interesting things here, and he very much doesn't agree with the way the clan is going, but just a lot of really interesting stuff. Just this idea that just as things were going right for Sasuke, Itachi took it all away, and you sort of see, if you look at it in a slightly different way, in that yes, Sasuke and Itachi were relatively close, and you get that from it, but I think there was, in terms of from Sasuke to Itachi, some issues there, definitely. He felt inferior, I think Itachi notices, and he kind of even points it out, you kind of hate me, don't you, because, I get most of the attention from father and stuff like that, so I just think it's really well done, and the amount of context this gives you for extra insight into Sasuke's character and why he has made so many of the decisions that he has up to now, and why he is the way he is. It's very, very interesting to think about, and again how that impacts like what happens in the present day, and that he's going into this fight with Naruto thinking that he's going to kill him, gain the Mangekyo Sharingan, and that will be the thing to go forward. But obviously, we know in the past that he honestly put his life on the line for his friends. So if he gets the chance, will he actually finish Naruto off if he gets to that point? And you know, the other thing is obviously that like we obviously knew he was obsessed with revenge, but the things he talks about with regards to like after he gets his revenge, he's basically okay with that being all that his life is. Like he doesn't have a plan for after. He's okay if Orochimaru has to take over his body after that. He's just all he cares about is taking revenge, and as he says, he's only focused on fixing events from the past and making amends rather than the future. And it's just a really great way to set it up. And so it just basically presents us this idea of we have 2 volumes to go, and we're going to get a lot of fighting happening here. A lot of fights are gonna, a lot of fighting stuff's gonna happen here, and I think there's some extra stuff. I think Volume 27 is a little bit different, but I'll cover that when I get to it. So that's been the Volume 25 review. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this review as well as the volume itself. But other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.